guys, it's Emily and I'm back with another speed build. This one was inspired by the lovely Rethasim and her fantasy save project. This is the makeover of Oasis Springs as Oasis Space Port. So I decided to create a mansion for a family of aliens. So this is my mansion build for Oasis Spaceport in that fantasy save. Her fantasy save project, if you don't know, is making over each of the worlds into a different vision. And so this one for Oasis Springs was Oasis Spaceport. Previously she had done Willow Creek into Gnome Creek. So for that I had built a treehouse with kind of an underground hobbit hole type thing. And so this project has really brought out my creativity. I really feel comfortable building with floor plans in more traditional homes, but I enjoy doing a lot of these fantasy saves. And so, trying to find the balance of doing some more practical builds that you can use in your everyday play, but then also doing builds that are more creative and get some of my artistic sort of tendencies to come into the game. It has been something important for me as well. So I was looking on Pinterest, as I often do, for inspiration, and I found a series of buildings, or drawings, I guess. They aren't actual buildings. Drawings that had some kind of modern looking feel, but also very organic, and they were built into kind of the side of a cliff. And so I used that photo, it's a series of 3 photos actually, of the same sort of concept art, as an inspiration for this. It looks nothing like that, but I took a lot of the elements that really spoke to me and sort of kind of try to reproduce them in this build. One of the elements that they included was water in various levels, and just actually various levels in general. As you can see here, as I'm trying to work out the basic structure, I knew I wanted to have varying levels. I thought that gave it sort of a real modern feel to it, and trying to get everything to kind of jive together, even though everything is very different looking. Trying to get it to all work together and feel like one cohesive building was definitely a challenge. Here you'll see I'm just using some roof pieces to create sort of a wave shape. Again, with that water feel, I wanted to have just some interesting architectural lines, no kind of hard squares, no kind of, just real geometric things, but not, no hard lines, I guess, basically. So that was part of the trickiness of trying to get this all to work, is I wanted to have a real organic feel, but also very modern. And so trying to marry those two were kind of a challenge for me. Here you'll see we have the landing pad. Of course, knowing that this is going to be for Oasis Spaceport and for aliens, I wanted to include that UFO from the debug menu. They can't access it because of that kind of round deck up there. The Sims actually can't access that area, but since the UFO isn't functional, I didn't figure anyone would be too heartbroken by that. Accessing the different levels is kind of a chore. When I was playtesting it and doing the cinematic photography for the beginning and end of the video, having my Sims go everywhere in the different areas took quite a bit of time. So I recommend, if you are actually using this to play with, unless you liked them to take forever to go somewhere, which can sometimes be funny or entertaining, that you could use the teleport cheat by hitting the shift and clicking on the ground, and then you can just teleport your Sim there. That was much easier for my purposes, since I wasn't actually legitimately playing in this house. That's the other wonderful thing about doing a creative build, is that I don't have to think about things like that. Normally when I'm working with a floor plan or doing a more traditional house, I have in the back of my mind, like, how is this going to function? Like, does this kitchen have the triangle work area that you hear so much about in home design? Are the stairs going to make sense if we go, put them next to a wall here? Like, just kind of those logical things that you would think about in real home design. Those kind of things go through my mind normally when I'm building. When I'm doing a fantasy build like this, one that doesn't necessarily follow the rules, I get to be a lot more creative. And for this, I definitely was going for aesthetic first. Like, I wanted this to look a certain way, and I didn't really think about how it was going to function. So for me, it's really kind of the opposite of how I normally build. So doing these fantasy builds are so good for my creativity and something I really enjoy. And I don't think I would use this in everyday, but it certainly was fun to build. So if you want to create a new save, I think Rethasim's whole idea is you could create a new save, a fantasy save, and place all the different builds that people do, and then you could have this fantastical world of, all the different worlds. And everyone in the community that has participated in this uploads it to the gallery, and then you can put them in your own game. So there were many entries. I really enjoy when Retha goes live on Twitch and tours them all so we can see everybody else's creativity. Some of the things that people come up with when there's a creative theme involved is just so fun and so rewarding for me to watch. I just really enjoy seeing the different ideas and the different approaches that people have. Definitely even more so than doing it myself. So I love those broadcasts that she does when we see everybody else's creations. But they're up on the gallery. If you want to create your own fantasy save, you can do that and have all these magical creations and tell a completely different story than the one that comes when, you unpack your game from EA just out of the box. So the worlds can really be anything you want. Here again, I'm using that roof piece to create a kind of a wave shape, organic shape. The roofs, I wanted to kind of mirror the look of the UFO since I knew I wanted that to be an element. And so we end up creating these kind of dome white roofs in the area that do have roofs. And then we also have pools in a lot of the area that don't really make sense for pools. In my mind, the pools are related to the aliens and how they live, and we end up putting some plants in them from the Get to Work sort of Simax plants. So they're specifically from the alien world. I kind of pictured in my mind that they were alien gardeners and they needed the water in order for these plants to grow. So that was kind of my motivation there, and why we have them in different places that the Sims can't necessarily access is because growing those plants is part of their home world, and something that was really important to them. So they build areas specifically in this mansion for them to garden those plants and keep those plants alive. I never really thought about what they use them for. Who knows? The imagination is kind of your only stopping point in that, but that is as far as I went with it. So again, I'm just repeating that roof pattern just to kind of make some interesting shapes. That gives it a little bit more kind of architectural. We have these like kind of flat architecture pieces, but then this way it gives it kind of a more three-dimensional look. Again, with the colors, I wanted to keep them pretty monotone. Monotone is sound, and monochrome would be color. So we have whites, we have kind of off-white, dark brown, and then I add some green because we want to have some greenery with the sort of organic feel of everything. Organic modern feel. It's very strange kind of two to marry together, but I think I end up doing it successfully. And then we end up bringing a little pop of color with the red alien trees. And here you'll see I'm just trying to get those two levels to kind of work together happily. And it has to be a certain distance, a certain height in order for the stairs to place correctly. So we did get it eventually, but that's a lot of this build is trying to sort of tweak things in order to get them to work and that was definitely a tricky part when you're not going from a floor plan and when you're building something completely creative from a creative place. You just I make a lot of changes. I don't know about you, but I make a lot of changes and a lot of things change as I go. And here you see the front door. I thought, how are they going to access all of this? Like, we don't want general riffraff coming in. And so we need to have a door that only certain people can access. So we have that locked in my game just because I don't want everybody showing up in the house. And the other tricky thing is they go, both sides, since they're at different levels, can't connect to each other. So we have this underground area that's connected through the hallways and the ladders. It does take the Sims forever to get anywhere. So that was kind of amusing for me, but they can navigate everywhere. Just takes them a while. And then here you'll see again, I'm adding those pools. This is the sort of landing pad for the UFO. So we have kind of the white and black contrast. There's a pool light in the middle there, just so that, when it's a nighttime, everything can be real lit up and that they can land exactly where they need to land. It's easily seen. So we're adding these extra lights here. It looks beautiful at night. Again, here I was talking about where we're adding our pools. There's no real purpose. Obviously, those two on the top, the Sims can't access. There's no way for them to access, so it really is just for holding those plants. Here you see I'm adding those green tiles for where I want to have the greenery. Just trying to get the colors to balance in a way that I like, just kind of as a marker for where I'm going to put the greenery. And again, I'm just trying this out to see where I like it, loosely based on the photograph I had. This looks nothing. Like if I showed you the photograph, you would not think that it was the same thing at all. But again, it was just kind of a starting point and some of the elements that I took for inspiration. So again, here I'm just reworking, trying things to get them to a point where I like the different placement and feel like it had a good balance. So a lot of this is just by feel. Since I'm not using a floor plan, it's just looking at it and, turning the lot around and looking at things from different angles to see what I like. So really it was completely judged and built by my visual appeal and what I thought looked good. And now I'm placing some ivy or some greenery over that again. So if there was any gaps or spaces that you could see through, you would be seeing the green and not the brown through that. It's just a way to kind of make everything gel more cohesively. And I didn't really plan on doing a whole lot on the decks other than adding some greenery and the pools. The pools, unfortunately, the Sims cannot swim in it in the way that I have it. And on all of the pools, I have a tile from Spa Day surrounding it. And unfortunately, since they're not a debug item, it's an actual item, the Sims won't route around it. So if you want to use the two pools that the Sims can access on those decks, you would have to remove a couple of those tiles. But in my game, my Sims weren't going to be going swimming because this was water for the plants. The aliens don't swim, and it's just a place for them to keep those plants, like I said. So that was how I wanted to tell my story when I was doing this build. But if you were using this build in your world and you wanted your Sims to be able to go swimming, then definitely, do what you got to do and remove those tiles and make it work for you. I definitely don't mind that if you want to change things up to make it work. This is completely my vision of what I wanted this build to be, and here I have those pops of red I was talking about. We had such kind of plain Jane colors, and I wanted to have something a little special, and it also brings in that get to work alien shrubbery, trees, I guess. Yeah, I think it's in the tree category, so something a little special that you wouldn't see in a normal everyday build. yeah, and then we're adding just some windows. Again, this is just odd placement, just switching things around until I like how it feels, like how it looks. Here I wanted a built-in sort of seating area, and so we have this Discovery University seating that you can kind of customize to make any shape you want. So that fits in just beautifully right here. It has a nice built-in look. I'm glad that we have the option to do that with at least a few items to kind of make this built-in look, because I'd really like to have some sectional couches. That I think that would be utilized a lot in the Sims 4, and we don't really have too much that can work in that way without custom content. So here again, kind of that architectural feel with those rugs. I ended up adding a few extra here. We ended up having these 5 circles, but I do end up going back to the 3. It's a theme that I wanted to have running throughout the build. So you see here I'm adding the 3 kind of tables outside, and then down below we end up adding also some 3 like coffee tables right here. Again, another built-in area, same method as up above, but I really wanted to have this running theme of having these 3 circles throughout the different areas to kind of tie it together. And this was before the Star Trek Journey to Batuu was announced or released, and so I'm a little late in getting this out. I built this a few weeks back, but now we have that reference to the 3 suns in the Star Wars pack. I personally, as a builder, am really enjoying the pack. There's a lot of items. There's a lot of items in it, for one. And there's a lot of items that I can utilize in kind of everyday build, which I know a lot of people were saying it's so specialized, and like the texture on it is so kind of grungy and doesn't really fit in with a lot of builds, but I personally am not having that problem. I am kind of using it easily, especially there's so many different lights, and a lot of the knickknacks I feel like I can use a lot. The cast I really like as well. It is definitely very Star Wars feeling, but I still enjoy it. It's very well made. I love the textures. Some of them can be easily used for outdoor, an outdoor look. Outerwear, and I did the gameplay. I played as the First Order initially, and then I played the Scoundrel Path, and it was good for a couple playthroughs, but I don't think I'll be playing it too much. Otherwise, I will find a different way to utilize that world. I was thinking probably an actual like theme park. We're going to use the cheat and build there. But in this build, we have a rounded kitchen. Again, that outcropping of the rock kind of juts into the kitchen, because this build clearly is kind of built into the rocks. So the aliens have worked with the surrounding area, and we just use that as a kind of a kicking off point for the kitchen that would surround that, and kind of feel like it was built into that. Here you'll see I'm trying out this one dining table area, but we do end up switching that out and repeating that 3 circles look. Here I'm just adding the alien plants. Again, this is kind of special and unique to the alien family that I had envisioned for this, and so they keep this water and they keep these plants alive. Again, it's from their home planet, and this is something that's really a showcase for them. And so you can see they have inside of their house, they have these walls where they can kind of view these plants, and I don't know, maybe they can interact with them. I hadn't really thought through it that far, but we have this theme of being able to look in and view these plants, and it's on each and every level has this kind of viewpoint of these plants. So that was an element that I really wanted. One of the challenges I had with this build is that I was trying to use limited packs. So I kept it to initially Get to Work, Base Game, and Eco Lifestyle, I believe. And I ended up adding on a couple. This one here, we have the Jungle Adventure table. It just fit perfectly with the scaling of everything. And so if you don't have Jungle Adventure and you download this lot. I think the table is the only missing thing. Likewise with in the bedroom up above, right here, you'll see I used the sleep pods from Get Famous. I thought these are too perfect. I have to use them, and of course that added another pack, but I couldn't not use them. They're so perfect for this build. And again, a standard bathroom, but we use the eco lifestyle, toilet, sink, tub, just because they're real modern looking, kind of alternative looking. So I thought, if the aliens are going to have a kind of standard looking bathroom, that they would have maybe something a little special and not your everyday John. And so we do have a standing shower in there as well. So it's a full bathtub and shower. Here we have some eco lifestyle lights on the wall. Just again, it's an architectural element, keeping that white and off-white theme throughout the whole bedroom. Eco lifestyle dresser, just again something real modern looking, and so it's completely functional. We have our beds, our dresser, our full bath. I play tested everything, so that shouldn't be an issue. And then around the edges we have these cool lights. Like I can't really imagine any other time that I would use that, so I wanted to include those cool little lights around the floor there. Here's our sort of control hub, surveillance area in my mind. It's like their living room, but being aliens, they want to keep an eye on things. So we have, several computers. We have several TV screens where they can monitor things. We have several clocks because, of course, they're going to want to keep time in different areas, maybe even different planets. So that's how I envisioned this room. So you have a lot of, if you have friends over, you have a lot of computers. So even if they're playing your computer, chances are there will be one free, because that is absolutely a pet peeve of mine, is when friends come over and play my computer instead of hanging out with me. And thankfully with the Discovery University, they allowed the ability to lock computers. Thank goodness, right? So again, this is kind of their living room area. So we have some alien rocks from the alien world, just to kind of complete out their library area. And of course they're looking in on the alien plants in the pool there. Upstairs here we have a little toddler room. Again, some items from Eco Lifestyle, that Eco Lifestyle bed. And we end up the way you're seeing it here, we actually have to turn it around a bit, is once I play tested it, the bed wasn't accessible in that location, so I switched everything around a little bit, and you'll see that in the cinematic pan through. You'll see that. But so the bedroom's up here, and we made sure it's all functional. And then outside of the bedroom was just a little hangout area. We have a spa chair, a chess table where you can build your logic. So there's lots of activities and skilling that can be done in this house. Again, it's fully functional, play tested, and keeping with the alien theme, we have the little alien birth certificate. We have our Mr. Tentacles, our robots. I thought I wanted to decorate it in a way that made sense as well. We still have our little baby shoes because, of course, that's adorable. Love to have those baby shoes on the walls. But on the outside, we can look in on our alien plants again. Again, consistent with that theme. Here's our chess table that we're bringing in, and we have an easel as well. So there's lots of skilling items in this build. Everything your sim could need to do to fulfill their needs. And with that, I want to thank you guys for watching this. Check out the amazing Rethasim and her fantasy save in the gallery, or check out her page on Twitch when she's doing tours so you can see what it's all about. Again, my name is Emily, and thank you guys for watching. Take care.